All right, welcome back. So here we go. All right, so after a few days of redoing and thinking, brainstorming, so this is what I come up with. And after looking at a lot of the people that have these fancy things that they make or 3D print or carbon fiber, they cut out of carbon fiber brackets and tubing. It's essentially the same thing. They've just added an extension for batteries and equipment because you just got to get everything in the nose. And I didn't want to put anything else in the nose cone. Like right now, you can kind of see the little power box battery safe or battery guards plugged in there. I've got two of those batteries in here that I showed you, and I'm not going to put any more weight in there just to kind of, because those, what I looked at, those tubes, those carbon tubes that are glued into this, that slide into the nose, are not solid. They're hollow. Okay, so I don't want to put any more weight on them. I'm not worried about, the in and out force. I'm more worried about G's, pulling hard. And you don't pull hard on jets, because if you pull hard on some of these jets, you're going to snap them, especially these big scale ones like this. But, there's going to be a little bit of flex, and I don't want it to flex too much and possibly break off the nose or anything like that. So I didn't want to put the turbine batteries in the nose, but I wanted to extend them as far forward as I could, because from my last video, I put longer leads in to push the hubs forward to get longer, to get the leads out further. And what I did was I glued in, these are just some aluminum, I took some aluminum L-stock, and you can kind of see it here, trimmed it, drilled holes for mounting, put some blind nuts in the back of this. I also glued in a support across this light ply to make it more rigid. And then I glued it's kind of hard to see here, if you can see it, I glued in this guy, which is very light, but it's very strong balsa. It's like a light ply balsa. I guess it's you can put it's not balsa, but it's a ply, very light. Glued that in just as a support right here, and put some screws. Then I glued this little plate on here, which is just a little light ply plate, and this is where I connected the turbine battery leads. So those are those which were back here before in those little spots. So the only thing that sucks is I got those little cutouts, but whatever. And I moved them forward up here, and then the batteries will just plug in right there on each. And the balancing / test plug, so I can check my batteries, just kind of hang out the bottom here. Added a brake and chute fill, and this is the gear and gear door fill. And then I got the switch, which is a fail-safe switch. You literally can unplug this and it will power up the system, or if it fails on. I've got it clamped here with some shoe goop drying. And then I'm also gonna, if I keep it, this is where I'm gonna mount the, because I'm gonna need weight. If I need to add any, this will just be less BBs that I have to add, because rather use this as a functional weight versus just adding more BBs and not. So this will give me a display for pressure, so when I'm filling and all that kind of stuff, I'll know, and it helps add to the weight. Now if I end up being like where I don't need any weight, then that'll go away, because like I said, it's just there for programming. It's got a light on it. The actual unit has a light on it that when you set it to the pressure you want. So I set it for 100, 105 PSI, or 110 PSI. And when you get to that PSI, it will go blue. So you're filled, so because it doesn't have telemetry like the Zykoi's. And I still got to program it. I haven't even swung the gear on this thing yet. I just haven't had time. And this is kind of a difficult one because it's the bottom of the inlets are kind of soft. So it's hard to set it on something that allows you to swing the gear, but I'll get there, because I'm, now that this is done, really the only thing I need to do is I've got to hard mount the seats, and I'm not going to glue them. I'm just going to put them in where they screw in. I got to do a little painting on that, so they'll just screw in I'm trying to lower this one. I've already cut the, it's kind of hard to see. I'm doing this with one hand. I don't have it on my head. But I've already cut some of the seat off, because even the cockpits, the seats are correct. So you can kind of see what I cut off already. The seats are right, but the buckets are not deep enough. So the seat sets up too high. Because when you look at it, oh, I need to glue that. The real one, the headrest is about right. The top of the headrest would be about right there. So it's got about an inch. It needs to come down. So I'll cut just a little hair more off with my bandsaw, and then whatever I get is what I get. That's the easy stuff, because I've already got the buckets mounted. I do need, ooh, God, these suck. I gotta glue that. I've already glued these things, I don't know how many times. They just keep coming loose. Anyways. But I need to put a little wood mount between the two, because this one, it only has this attachment point here, so it's kind of wobbly. This does sit on something and supports it, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a piece of block so I can put a screw in, because they do sit up against each other. Oops, sorry. And that way, because these are double mounted, it's very rigid. This one's single mounted. It'll just attach to this one and secure it. And then that is it. The only other problem at that point is just this is going to have to be trimmed a little bit to be able to get it in there like it needs to be. And I might put a little heads-up display on it, because the back seat does have a little heads-up display on it. But once that's done, it's done, man. At that point, it's just programming. So she is done, and then once I get everything back in, I'm gonna put it back on the CG machine and do final CG and see exactly how much I needed to add, because before I made the changes and moved those batteries forward, I needed that much, and that was about, I think it was about a pound. Let's see what that was in the nose. And I'll probably need less than that now. I'm hoping to get under a ½ pound. I could do pilots, and that would help too. Yeah, this is, oh wow, it's not even a pound, so I should be nothing, almost just maybe a quarter of a pound of weight. So that would be perfect. So, because I'm trying to keep this thing light. I don't know. Before I filled it, put fuel in it, it was well under the LM1 or LM2 weight, but I think with fuel, it's going to need it, LM2. So we'll see. But like I said, now that the nose is redone, and once I finish up redoing the cockpit real quick, mounting the cockpit seats, the ejection seats, and that center console. At that point, it's just final setup. I do need to still fix one of these, like this one. When they're full back, you can kind of see it. I don't know if you can see it, but you can kind of see how it kind of cuts half the hole open, and this one is completely open. When the little peg comes down, it's hitting. So I need to shorten this rod just a hair and get this, when it's in the unlock position, that whole groove is open. And then that's essentially what it's going to look like when it closes, because that piece comes forward and the hook goes forward, so it catches that hook. So this would be almost like a closed position, but that's all the way back. So I got to shorten that rod just a hair. And you can kind of see it moves. There's a little bit of slop in there. Good thing is I can make these things, you know, they're like a servo. So, but yeah, and I'm taking my time with it. I know people are kind of like keep asking about programming and stuff. I've had some people ask about the gyro stuff. I'm just in no rush because I don't have to be. And I've been like playing a lot of guitar. That's what I'm about to do now when I get done with this video. Do my daily play. That's all I can do to keep my sanity after these elections. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. People have normalized things that resemble Germany in the 1930s, and you have a guy that, okay, he wasn't sentenced, and you want to play that game, but he was still found guilty of 34 felony counts by a jury. And if it would have been any one of us that did a fraction of what that guy did, we would be in prison. And, oh, by the way, he was found liable for sex abuse in civil court. Had to pay some girl like $4 or $8 million, you know, and that's what you think best represents our country? Ugh, you know, and then, oh, by the way, he surrounds himself with fucking sex offenders, you know, and then half the people he's putting in are going to do things that go directly against what you voted on, you know, and then, oh, he didn't know anything about Project 2025. He's hiring people in his cabinet that are founders and co-authors of Project 2025. So women get back in the kitchen, I guess. That's what you're voting on, or voted on at this point. So anyways, I don't want to get all political on here, because, you know, there's a lot of strong, what's the word I'm looking for? Opinions, because they can say they're factual and say all they want, but the facts are the facts. And you guys voted in, well, 50% of the country voted a wannabe dictator that about ruined our country and the planet his first time around. So I hope you get everything you want. Anyways, cheers.